Welcome back to Creator Codes. I'm so happy to be talking to you today about your soul pull. And if you stick with me, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get through this episode quickly. I want to do a reading for you at the end about your soul pull and get a little guidance there as well, which is really exciting. So, what is a soul pull, you ask? Like, what's the difference between a soul pull and intuition? Well, your soul pull is kind of what exactly it says is it's what your soul is pulling you to do in any given moment in a little way or also the big ways. Now, intuition is basically decoding light. So you can intuitively ask your soul, right? Your higher self. Or you can use your intuition to talk with your guides or your angels or source or other people's thoughts or someone else's higher self. So your intuition is kind of like the technology to access the soul pull, okay? The soul pull is just a little bit more specific. I always say, like, when you are using your intuition, you want to be really sure with what you are accessing rather than, I always refer to like using a telephone in dialing one number. Okay, I'm talking to my higher self rather than like I'm calling upon my higher self, my angels, my guides, my past loved ones, and the Galactic Federation. That's like having 10 telephones and trying to hear it all at once energetically. And you don't know where the information's coming from. And it's important to know because, again, in this episode, we're talking about your soul pull because your soul chose to embody in human form here in Earth School for a reason. And so if you want to get to the bottom of those reasons and feel into like what your soul path and your soul pulls are here on Earth, then it's really important to distinguish who you're speaking with on the telephone. Okay? So yeah, your soul pull is basically what your soul is calling you to do, not what you think you should do, not what others think you should do, not what you see others doing, right? That's very much ego in the mind. But and the thing is with your soul pull, a lot of times it does not add up logically and your ego does not usually love it because when your soul is pulling you to do something, it probably will feel slightly terrifying because your soul does not pull you to do things to keep you in the same level. It's to get to level 2, 3, 4, 5, and your ego's like, no, I'm comfortable at level 1. No, I'm comfortable at level 2. Like, let's stay comfy here. I don't want to grow because that means, the ego is not in the driver's seat. And so the more that you pull, or the more that you listen to your soul pull, the more that you're actually allowing your ego to, the ego can be in the car. We don't want to kill the ego off, but like passenger seat status. And your soul is in the driver's seat. Your soul pull is not usually very logical. Sometimes it can be, but oftentimes it's like, it doesn't really make sense, but I just know that I need to do X, Y, or Z. Your soul chose this human experience to grow as a soul. I already said that. So when you attribute growth with discomfort, the discomfort will be easier to take down. It's just, I'm hearing a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down. So the sugar is the growth. It's knowing that medicine that tastes really yucky, the discomfort, you'll be able to process it easier when you know I am growing. Literally, I'm doing what my soul on an energetic spiritual level chose to actually do and be on this earth when I'm embracing the discomfort. So that always helps me when I'm feeling uncomfortable. I'm like, oh my God, my higher self is so happy right now. And having that like bird's eye perspective of myself and always giving that comfort and love for the human because, of course, we're human in this physical form. We have egos for a reason, and this is one of those perceived limitations. And I say perceived because it doesn't have to be a limitation, especially the more that you embrace the discomfort. So an example of following a soul pull of mine, you guys know I moved to Sedona, Arizona. That was a big one. And then another one was coming to New York for the summer, for like literal multiple weeks, multiple months. That's like an extended period of time to come to New York, Cass. Why are you doing that? Well, there actually are some logical reasons to visit, but like for the extended amount of time, I just kind of knew, like that definitely was a soul pull of knowing I needed to be here for more than even like 2 weeks. There's a lot unfolding with my family, with certain relationships. There's a lot of grounding I'm doing as far as the activations I've gone through in Sedona to really allow them to penetrate into my human. And it feels like Sedona is very like vortex. I mean, it's a vortex land. And so coming out of that and grounding into my hometown, right? I'm literally at my grandparents' house. You can't really ground into your roots more than that. So if I knew before coming here it was going to be powerful in some way, and I also knew that it was going to be powerful because of the resistance that my ego had, because of how sad I felt. I was crying before I left Sedona. It felt really, I've grown very attached to that place in a beautiful way, but it's like such a comfort for me. And that is what the ego loves, is comfort. And so coming here, it felt uncomfortable. It felt, I knew intuitively, it just felt like something was going to happen. Something was going to transpire. It was more than my human mind knew. I like knew that in my body. I could feel that, especially because of the resistance I felt before I left. So I'm like, okay, this is going to be quite the summer, isn't it? And it's still, it's unfolding. I've been here for a few weeks and I still got some time. So anyways, definitely something that my soul wanted me to do, even though my ego was like, I'd rather just stay and not have to travel and bring my cats and like, you know, all the things. So how do you know if it is your soul pull versus your ego versus your thought? How do you actually know? I'm like giving you a moment to think about it for a second. And you guys know some of the signs. First of all, it's kind of persistent. It's one of those things that you're like, oh my God, this is like coming up again. I had a dream. I had a download, a thought. It's like, it's just there. It's like constantly there. Another way to know is, that kind of goes along with signs, symbols, synchronicities, especially when you tune into your intuition, when you have the initial download, right? And you want to have more clarity on it. You can intuitively test. We go through this in Tarot Intuition Mastery, and there's different ways you can test your intuition. You know, we have our bodies that can give us sensations, for one thing, right? You can do a lean test. There's so many different kinds of testing for intuition, but you can test this download of like, I should go to New York for the summer and see what comes through if you're kind of like battling with it. But usually, like when it comes to intuition in general, usually it's like the first thought, not the thinking around the thought. As I always say, thought is not ego, but thinking is. So usually it's like it hits you. Now you'll know that thought because we get lots of thoughts, right? You'll know that thought, or we'll say that claircognizance, which is like just that knowing in it's like an idea in your mind that you just know. It's like bigger and like, it's actually, the way to know is it's more neutral. It's not just more neutral. It is neutral. It's a neutral thought, right? It's just a knowing. It was kind of like, okay, I'm going to New York for the summer. And then when I started thinking about it, that's when my ego got like, oh, really? Should I? I don't know. Is it? And that's when we start to get into our head and overthink and almost take ourselves away from that intuitive nudge. But at that time, it's good to test it as long as you're not too emotional. But I don't want to go down the intuition rabbit hole. Do what you can to neutralize your emotions before you're doing any kind of intuitive testing. Okay. Anyways, again, don't want to get down too many rabbit holes with intuition, even though that's kind of what we're talking about, but in specific, we're talking about the soul pull today, as far as what your soul is telling you. So let's see. Yeah, like I said, ego resistance is a good sign because the ego wants to stay in control. And so when the ego starts to try to convince you not to do it, that's a sign that it's actually going to cause growth, which is discomfort, right? For the ego, for your human self, for the comfort you've been living. Even if it is a smaller thing, like you usually have coffee, but your intuition's telling you not to have coffee today. And you're like, what the hell? I want my coffee because this is what I'm used to and this is what I love and this is what gets me going and all these things. But like maybe your soul is calling you to channel more light into your body versus relying on a stimulant. Okay, no more rabbit holes. So what happens when you ignore your soul pull? Oh my God. Oh my God. Dun 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 dun. Depression, or like feelings of depression. I feel like that word is kind of overused. I've probably overused it in my life. Because like sometimes we confuse that with not being that happy. Depressiveness is more of like your brain kind of working in a different way and consistently not working in that way. But anyways, feelings of depression, feelings of being unfulfilled, just like blah, not happy, comparing yourself. What are they doing? Or like, how are they happy? They look happy. What are they doing? You know, a lot of times we compare ourselves when we are not listening to our soul pull because we're trying to figure out how other people are fulfilled if we are not feeling fulfilled because we are not listening to our soul pull. But you can't actually gain that information from comparing yourself. If you are feeling burnout, which I used to think that burnout was just working too hard and you get tired, but that's not it. Burnout is literally your soul telling you to do things and you not doing them. And so you feel super tired. You feel exhausted. You feel burnt out. Literally, you just feel burnt out because it's like a candle burning out. Your light is not really that activated. And we are light, right? And we can really access our light and use it, which is allowing our soul to pull us. Or if we're feeling burnt out, it's a sign that our light, our soul is not being used as a compass. It's not being honored. And also another big one that a lot of people say, I feel stuck. I feel stagnant. I feel so stuck. You know, that's what I get a lot in my past with coaching and what I do with mentorship. And it's like, I just feel stuck. That a lot of times is a really big sign that your soul is pulling you to do something that you're not listening to. And again, it doesn't have to be massive things like moving somewhere new. It could be a certain habit that you're doing that you're being called not to do anymore, right? It's like when you think of your higher self, would they choose that habit for you that actually drains you? Would they choose to hang out with those people, etc., right? And the thing about soul pulls is they never go away. They get louder through the reflections of your life. So you might feel more and more and more and more and more triggered by other people who are having success, whatever that means to you, or happiness. You're triggered by other people that seem to be happy and fulfilled. Or you're just triggered in different ways, not even just by like, you know, people that are happy, but by people that are reflecting back to you your own, I don't want to say inability, your own neglect of your soul pull. We usually get triggered when there's a hole in our creator field, and there's holes in our creator field when we have certain limiting beliefs or identities in regards to ourselves. And when we hold those things, that's going to pull us away from our soul pull. You know, if you are constantly feeding to like fake, I don't want to say fake, that seems so harsh, but like illusion, that's also kind of harsh. I'm saying it with love. These illusions of just not being ready or not able to, or I need to wait, all of these things That is the ego wanting to stay comfortable, trying to keep you away from your soul pull. And what happens over time when you don't listen to your soul pull, you create holes in your creator field. Now, this is the Creator Codes podcast. So this is a massive code in order to create the life of your dreams, is to embrace that discomfort and fill up those holes in your creator field by redefining what it means to be you, who you are, right? What you believe to be true. Because if, again, you're constantly believing ideas about yourself that literally are false, it's going to be more and more difficult to follow your soul pull. It's a never-ending cycle, because as we follow our soul pull, we'll also be shown, in order to get to the next level, there's layers where we have deeper wounds or deeper feelings of lack or unworthiness or whatever the heck it is, right? The human, it's so fun to be human. It's so fun, but we can decode it together, and we're all helping each other. We're all just walking each other home, right? So yay for reflections, always being, and if you guys haven't listened to my Law of Reflections, there's 2 episodes. You can look back at those, because those are really, really significant as far as basically that it's kind of our intuition, it's our higher self creating circumstances to reflect back to us where we are believing certain limitations, to where we are keeping ourselves smaller and not following our soul pull. So it all works together. So how do you begin following your soul pull, you ask? Well, make a commitment to yourself. And this is like where you got to have an honest conversation with yourself. And I would not say, I feel like the people that listen to this podcast are ready for this, but don't make the commitment unless you are not ready to face that discomfort, because it's going to hurt more if you resist it, what's coming through that you ask for, right? It's like, be careful what you wish for kind of thing. So make a commitment to yourself that even though you know there will be discomfort, you will honor your soul path. And so your soul path, basically, your soul is pulling you always on your soul path. So it's like the little pulls, the big pulls are keeping you or leading you to your soul path. I mean, you can't really get off of it, but as far as what ultimately, like grandiose, what your soul chose to come here to do and to be, it's getting you closer and closer to those things, those ingredients, right? Those experiences, those lessons. We're here for lessons. That's why it's Earth School, right? So the way to have a fun time, we can make it fun, okay? It doesn't have to be heavy, this harsh commitment that, oh my God, I need to follow. Let's make it fun. This is not meant to be super heavy. It's not meant to be super heavy. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but when you get through that discomfort, it's like ding, 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 jackpot reward coming through for you. And also on top of that, you're not going to have to continuously repeat the same soul lesson over and over again in every lifetime. You get to go to the next level. So fun. So definitely recommend to connect daily with your soul. What does that mean to you? To connect daily with your soul. I was just listening to a podcast episode today, the Know Thyself podcast. Really good, really, really good. Andre's an incredible podcast host, and they were talking about how there's not really a lot of time for us to I think they use the word idle, go idle time, basically doing nothing, not consuming anything, because our brain is actually meant to process emotions in those still moments. But if we're have a moment with a friend, we get into a fight, we come home, we turn on TikTok, and then we watch a podcast, and then we watch a show, and then we go to bed. It's there was actually no time in your day for you to process that. So of course your dreams and your subconscious will process overnight, But you don't have to wait until every night to process things. You can do it more consciously, and you can let it happen throughout your day. So that's what I thought of today when I was making these notes. I'm like, it's just crazy to think about how much I feel like I always need to be listening to something. I mean, I love podcasts, you know? I love music and shows, you know? It's fun. But when we are constantly consuming, we're not allowing ourselves to recalibrate and to actually come back home into our center and to listen to our soul. So what does it mean to you to listen to your soul? Some of you might think of meditation. You don't have to sit there and like meditate to try to listen to your soul. A lot of times that causes resistance because you're trying to get something out of this stillness. Sometimes it's like just putting your hand on your heart and saying, what do I need to know right now? Or how is my body feeling? How am I feeling? Like literally letting yourself feel. Because if you have all these unexpressed emotions, that's going to take over your intuition. Because when you're highly emotional, it's really hard to decipher what you are at a higher level being called to do. So connect with your soul daily. You can meditate. Journaling could be more of an active practice of like allowing just a brain dump and to clear the channel, right? Or just having a conversation, literally, like, I'm going to converse with my soul right now. What's my soul telling me? What do I want to tell my soul? We can create our own rules in this life. Like, we can do whatever we want. So that's why I'm asking you, like, what does that mean to connect with your soul on a daily basis? A lot of times it's just not turning on social media for 30 minutes and just letting yourself be and seeing what's there. A lot of time, even yesterday this happened where I kind of like, I don't know, I kind of was triggered, I felt emotions underneath, and then I had like 20 minutes and I just laid down, and immediately when I allowed myself to like not grab my phone and not look at something, not listen to something, it was just me. And then Rob cuddled up next to me. Thank you, Rob, my little kitty. I started to cry. And I'm like, okay, cool. Like, it's actually processing. We're moving through. But if I was trying to just distract myself and watching something and consuming, that would just be building up. Meaning, I would not be able to actually listen to my soul pull because my emotions would be taking over. I feel like there's so many topics in this one podcast episode. Emotions, intuition, all of the things. So lots of rabbit holes that I shall not go down today, but those are for other days. And let me know, you guys, if you ever want a specific question answered, if you want to like submit a question as far as what you want me to cover on this podcast, I would love to hear from you. My email is below, so feel free. Or you can just email me and be like, hey, love the episode. And I would be like, oh my God, thank you. I shall keep doing this because I love the feedback. Okay, side note. It's really important to honor your soul. I really want to make this point very, very clear here. And I'm saying this because I see so many people really focus in on their guides, really focus in on their angels, really focus in on ascended masters or the Galactic Federation of Light, whatever it is. Amazing, like literally awesome. But we're talking about your soul pull, your soul pull, your soul pull, okay? Not your angel's pull that, right? Now, here's the thing. Your guides and your angels, right? These light beings that are on your side, what are they here to help you with? They're here to help you with your soul pull. But if you are not first connected with your soul pull, then it's going to be harder to have guidance from these other beautiful beings. A lot of times we put these other beings on pedestals. They are my guides. They know more than me. It's like, well, how do you know that? How do you actually know that? They're kind of a fractal of your own consciousness anyway. So it all starts with you, babe. And another thing, I already went over this, but make sure you do have quiet time away from social media and consumption, because that really does not allow your brain, your body, your energy to be in radical, or not even radical, but just coherence and harmony. Because when you're constantly taking in other people's information, what their soul pull is and how they're doing something, that literally, you actually start to take on other people's thoughts, because 97% of our thoughts are not our own unless we start to decipher what is actually our own. And if we're constantly consuming other people's thoughts and feelings and emotions and videos, then their thoughts and emotions will become ours. Period. It's just the way we work. We're like antennas, especially for you guys who are high conscious souls, who are, your antennas are very strong. You can really pick up other people's information and take them on as your own. I know that happens for me a lot. It's sometimes I'm like, I don't even know if I should listen to this, even though I'm really inspired to listen to this right now because I love this person and I love what they have to say and they're a great teacher. But I just feel like it almost takes over my own channel, my own thoughts. And then I start teaching about what they're teaching because that's like fresh in my brain. You know what I mean? So it's a call to myself and for all of us to make sure we are taking that time away and giving ourselves that space to download information from our own souls. You're very advanced souls. Your soul has so much information. You don't need to go to guides in the 12th dimension in order to access. I mean, again, technically, it's a fractal of you, but your soul is like the main player that we're really wanting to hone in on, because your soul is what chose to come here to Earth, your personality and all of that. So honoring your soul first, I just am really feeling the call to emphasize that today, okay? Because honestly, your soul is a guide for others. Your soul is a guide, whether it's through your human form or just energetically. You are a guide. And so why not honor yourself in that way? Guide yourself in that way. Okay. Get in flow state of creation as much as possible as well. This is really going to help you connect with your divinity and let that move through your human form. And how many times are you doing something and you're in a flow state, right? You're not consuming, you're creating, and you get an idea. Whether it's painting, drawing, writing, or like I like to make Canva, like abstract little collages, right? It could be anything that you are creating that is allowing the divinity to move through you, because what's the opposite of reacting? It is creating. Reactor, creator, same letters, opposite words, right? So instead of constantly being a reactor to your reality and consuming, reacting, consuming, turn that off and create. And that is actually turning your light on. I guarantee your soul is pulling you to create something. What is your soul calling you to create? And it could be as little as, I don't know, little swirls on the page in front of you. And just taking a moment to just let the pen move as it wants to. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to be like this amazing artist. Literally, it can be anything. Sidewalk chalk, like have fun. That's where the inner child play like helps us really connect with our soul, because children, they're not like, oh my God, what is my soul pulling me to do today? They're like, I'm going to go play. And then, oh, I'm going to go do that. I'm going to do that. And they keep getting pulled into, I used to like cut grass. I know that's not necessarily like creating something, but it was doing something that wasn't consuming. With scissors. Like I would cut grass with scissors. I loved that for some reason. But then I would go and like dance, and then I would go and just like do jump rope, and then I would go and do the hula hoop and sidewalk chalk. I'm just thinking of myself in the summertime outside here in New York, which is where I grew up. And those are the moments that just like, it feels like so light and bright. And this is why kids have so much energy, because they're doing what their soul is calling them to do, but they're not like sitting trying to figure out what that is. Is this my ego? Is this my soul? They just are doing what they are being pulled to do. Okay. So let it be messy. Clarity comes from action. Clarity comes from taking the leap. Don't feel like you need to wait to have it all together, to have all the puzzle pieces in order to take action. because the clarity will come. Everything is unfolding here in New York. I'm like, oh, okay, this makes sense why I'm here. This makes sense why I'm here. Like, it's starting to unfold. The clarity is coming through the action. It made sense why after I moved to Sedona. These are big examples, but it could be anything. Like the caffeine, less caffeine, you're like, suddenly I have so much more energy, which, by the way, that's very true. If you're not relying on a stimulant every day, you actually have more energy that is being produced more naturally. Okay. So my life is now very different, and sometimes it can feel isolating, especially if the people around you are not, and it's not about looking down upon others. Okay. It's accepting people where they are. All of us are flowers in different seasons of bloom. So it can be difficult at times depending on who you're around. If they even use this terminology, if they even know if they have a soul, like, I don't know. There's a lot of different humans, mortals out there that have different types of consciousness in the way that they see themselves and creation and their life. And so sometimes it can feel isolating when you are making these difficult decisions that no one really understands. Well, why would you do that? That doesn't make sense. Why would you quit school? Why would you not get your degree? That doesn't make sense. Well, if you say my soul is pulling me to go travel abroad instead. Oh, what are you, nuts? That's crazy. You're not going to make money, right? It's like the logical mind takes over with all of these people. But that's not our problem. That's not our problem. Again, that's a part of the equation of the discomfort, is not having all of the approval of everyone around you. Again, it could be a good sign, right? If people are calling you a little crazy, it's kind of a good sign, because you are going against the norm, which we really need these days, for sure. Your soul path has never been walked down before. It is your path and your path alone. So at first it can feel very isolating, but luckily, where does that path lead? To soul family who are also doing the same type of work that you are in this life. Really beautiful. We get so rewarded, honestly, even though there's a lot of challenges, like seriously, a lot of challenges for us that are deciding to do the challenging things, but there's so much reward in it, and we have to trust that, and we have to know that, and we feel those little blips that, more energy, the light flowing through you. You feel the alignment. You feel, you start associating with that discomfort with the growth, and you start to feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a totally different person today than I was 3 days ago, because I've been facing myself. And a lot of people will not make that progress in their whole entire lives. Oh, sugar honey iced tea. My candle just spilled, but look at the angel here wanted to say hello. Nellie laid down and just knocked over this candle, so some of the wax came out on this tablecloth and on the floor, but there's worse things to happen. It was his soul pull to lay on the candle. Nelson, hello, honey. Nice to have you here. Okay. So, last thing I want to say, and then I'll pull a couple of cards. This went a little longer than I was expecting, but not too bad. Little actions of following your soul pull will create more momentum for the bigger actions. So, for example, like the big moves I keep talking about, those didn't just happen out of nowhere. There were little things that I decided, breaking up with my boyfriend, that's not really a little thing. I don't know. I have all these big examples, but there's a lot of little things in between. Starting to read tarot, like grabbing another tarot deck and just like trying it out. Going to a certain coffee shop and, certain things like that. Like the little things in between. When you follow your soul pull and your intuition, as far as what your soul is telling you to do, then the bigger decisions will feel more clear, and you'll have that practice. It's like working a muscle. A lot of the muscles that we work, it's that brain, it's the mind, it's that control. But when we start to open the heart, which is actually very key with following your soul pull, that's how we access intuition, is having an open heart. So when we open the heart, we trust in the process, we trust in the co-creation, and we trust in the divinity that we are. And we tap in with that bigger picture of, okay, this is just like a tiny little experience of my soul's journey. this lifetime. So let's do what we came here to do, and let's honor that. Doing the little things in between the big things are really going to help the momentum moving forward. Soul pull actions in your life. Okay, let me pull some cards. I'm going to take off this little sweater here. I have my Galactic Star deck. I'll just pull a couple cards here. Nellie wanted to pull some cards for you. What do you have to sell to the people, honey? Oh my gosh, I can't believe that candle. At least nothing caught on fire, you know? Okay. Let's see what wants to come out for you today. Now, my intention here is to pull, let's do maybe about 3 cards, more or less, as far as what your soul wants to tell you. Oh my gosh, again with the candle. He keeps leaning up against it, honey. That's fire. You don't play with fire, my love. Yes, I love you. All right, what is your soul? This is exactly what your soul, if your soul pulled you to watch this episode today, then it's for a reason. So what is your soul? This is exactly what your soul wants you to know as far as what it is pulling you to do. This is what your soul wants you to know as far as what it's pulling you to do. This is what your soul wants you to know as far as what it is pulling you to do. Oh my gosh, it just landed on Nellie's head literally perfectly like a hat. Okay, we have 3 cards. The first one that came out, I wish I can show you, literally perfectly in between his ears on his head. The Wheel of Fortune. Okay, that came out first. Rob just sneezed for confirmation. He's over on that chair. We have all the cat confirmation. And then we have the Tower that came out. Okay. This is just gonna... King of Wands. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's like I've done this before. This is crazy. I mean, this, let me just say, this very much confirms everything that I just said. Okay? So the Wheel of Fortune, to me, this is the wheel turning in your favor. This is clearing out karma, like stopping karmic cycles, not just in, relationships, but relationships are a big mirror for our own karma. When our soul has karma coming here to Earth, it is a very individual lesson, but it can be reflected in other people, in other relationships. And so there's something about when you follow your soul pull, there's something that you're being called to do. It has to do with, I'm really seeing this sword here. That's like really sticking out to me. And that has to do with the truth. It has to do with your speaking, your communication, something that you haven't said that you want to say. Now I'm also seeing this angel. My eyes just keep going to different things here. So it's kind of like, okay. Yeah, that's reminding me of your higher self, your angels, you as an angel, you as your higher self. I think what they will really want to capitalize on here, or double click on as far as what I've said, is having communication with yourself, but just like maybe you've put angels or guides on certain pedestals, it's like putting yourself there. So it's kind of taking you and talking to you in another form, in that higher self form, in this like angelic higher self form, and having an honest conversation and really, 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 really listening. And I'm also being called to tell you it's very simple, these things that you're asked to communicate with. So it's not like, what is my biggest purpose here on earth? Like, no, keep it more simple than that. It's something very simple that you're being asked to write, to channel, to just close your eyes and be with yourself. It's going to come through when you're with your body. You can feel the sensations in your body. There's a truth that will be revealed that's going to help you understand certain karma you've been carrying, and it will clear it. Now, when you clear it, the Tower, it's going to feel like shit's hitting the fan, to put it simply, to put it in human, nonchalant form. Shit gonna hit the fan. But this is because there's a certain foundation that it could be in any area of life, like in relationships. It could be just your relationship with yourself. It could be with your own self, like value, how you've been valuing your time, your energy, and that's been trickling out into other relationships and then reflecting that back to you, which is part of that soul karma lesson that you're clearing here. And so when you have this breakthrough, it's going to break down a lot of illusions in your life. And there's the discomfort. But this is your soul pull here. Okay? When you have this honest conversation. I'm also hearing for some of you, it might be a conversation like, okay, have the conversation with yourself, right? And then you might be called to have a conversation with another person. It could be family, it could be a partner, it could be a friend. And there's going to be something that kind of falls away. It could be a relationship, it could be an idea of yourself, it could be, again, like that rocky, not solid foundation that you've been building upon as far as how you view yourself, what your value to yourself is, how you value yourself. A lot of times we don't value ourselves. We don't charge for our services as much as we should. We feel like we can't create our soul aligned business because I'm not there yet and other people are doing it, so why should I do it? You know, all these things. That's a foundation that needs to kind of be reset, right? But that means a lot is going to fall with whatever's been built upon that rocky foundation that's going to break down. Now, King of Wands coming to the rescue. This is such a beautiful energy. We have a dragon coming through. Dragons could be significant for you. They are coming through a lot. The King of Wands is all about being a visionary. This is about really being the creator and like owning that for yourself. And not just being like, I don't want this. That was actually coming through last night, I think, or this morning for me. Now, wow, that's perfectly tied in here is so many people are focused on what they don't want. They're running away from what they don't want. They're running away. I don't want this. I don't want this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this. I don't want to feel like this. And then they create more of that feeling because what we focus on really grows, right? So you're being called to shift your focus. Like when the tower falls and it's like uncomfortable, don't focus on what's wrong, because actually things are being shaken up for a beautiful reason. Create this vision with your higher self. Have a conversation with your soul about the next 5 years of your life. Even the next 1 year, whatever feels best for you. And 1 year from now, where are you going to be? Not where do you not want to be? Like, where are you going to be? What does that look like? What does that feel like? And really get into the energy of that, because the King of Wands, this is energy, this is fire, this is spiritual. So use your divinity to create your future. And in order to create a future that is so beautiful for you, you want to make sure everything that's happened in the past, and I don't want to say this in a way that feels overwhelming, but like you want to make sure that if there's stickiness that's in your field in regards to what has happened, then deal with that. Deal with that, because it's going to be really hard to create a beautiful future if you're resisting your past. Because technically, the past does not exist. The future does not exist. It's only right now. So if you're feeling a way about the past, you're going to project that into the future. Because every single moment we're creating. Right now I'm in the future. Right now I'm in the future. Right now I'm in the future, right? So if we're bringing our past with us into the future, we want to make sure it's coming through in a really beautiful way that is supportive, that is not working against us. And that usually comes down to what we have believed to be true about ourselves from childhood, from our past lives, whatever, right? And so make peace with the past so you can create your future from a very empowered and neutral place. And it's not from the mind. It's not from your thought. It's the King of Wands. This is from your soul. and what your soul is pulling you to do, what your soul is pulling you to create. And here's the thing, when you create that future, when you create that vision, don't get attached to it. Start living in the embodiment of what it feels like to live aligned. And then in this co-creation, you will be given the gift, right? From your guides and your angels and all these other beings, and of course your higher self and your soul, of different ways to create that vibration and that sensation and that frequency, right? That energy, the emotion, the excitement, but it's what you visualized or something better, always. But it can't be what you visualize or something better if there's no visualization or if there's no creation on your part. You can't just rely on God to hopefully bring me something better. No, that's still running away and relying on something outside of you, even though technically you are God, right? But you know what I mean. You don't want to rely on your guides to like just fix things for you. They can't intervene unless you are choosing, unless you are using your free will to decide. Oh my gosh, there's two white butterflies right in front of my face. Ah, there's the divinity right there. Use your free will and merge that with the divine will, and you will always be taken care of, period, plain and simple, end of story. Okay? I hope this message at the end resonated with you and this podcast episode in general. I felt like it came through pretty powerfully. So please share this with someone who you feel could use this message today. We want to empower the people. We want to help other people step into their own creatorship versus just constantly being the victim of life and reacting and consuming. We all know someone who could use that reminder. Maybe send it to yourself for tomorrow. I know I always listen to my podcast episodes after. It's important reminders for all of us. Thank you so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you. If you're looking for a mentor, I do have a few spaces open for longer term mentorship, and we can get into more of the specifics of your own soul pull. But also look out for the offering that I will be bringing to you soon. Again, we'll do a couple episodes leading up to following your soul as far as a business goes, as far as your own spiritual business goes. So many people, I would say majority of people that come to me want to start their own spiritual business, but it's like, where do I go? How do I do this? What do I do? How do I make money? And your soul is pulling you to do entrepreneurship, to create something for yourself for a reason, because you're not meant to follow, you are meant to lead. And that is the King of Wands, which is the entrepreneur card as well, which is pretty funny and could be a sign for you. So look out for those announcements. I have my email list below if you want to get on that. Watch my stories on Instagram. I always like to update you guys there. And let me know how this episode landed with you. Please share it. And I'd love to hear from you guys. So feel free to email me. All right. I'm sending you so much love. Follow your soul pull. And I feel like I'm saying, follow the yellow brick road. I mean, that's kind of what it is. Follow the yellow brick road. I don't know where it's going to lead to, right? But when you follow it, you know you will be rewarded. And this is why I was called to come to you guys today to confirm that you will be rewarded soon and along the way, not just at the end, right? Not just when we die and we're like, yay, I made it to the next 5 levels, right? In this life, we also will be rewarded in this life. So trust that, know that it's not easy. It's not comfortable, but you came here to earth to be a game changer. So thank you for inspiring yourself and others through listening to your soul pull. Your vibration is needed. Your light is needed. So keep going. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye-bye for now.